Hi guys, and welcome back to the Cornish Angler. Now today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a giveaway challenge where I've got myself a complete setup from AliExpress for under 70 quid, and I'm going to give it away to one lucky subscriber. But first I've got to catch a fish using all this stuff. It's all in here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sit down, I'll quickly talk you through what I bought, why I bought it, a few little tips when you're hunting bargains on AliExpress, and then we'll get fishing. Make sure you keep watching to the end of the video, because I'll tell you then exactly how to enter the competition to win all this stuff that came to about 67 quid. So the idea of this video is to show you don't have to go out and spend an absolute fortune in order to start pike fishing, especially if you're lure fishing. You might already have some of the stuff like rods, reels, nets and hooker mats. So it might be you just have to get some of the specific stuff like the forceps, unhooking tools, lures, bits and bobs like that. But for this video I am going with the approach that I am totally new to pike fishing, haven't got any gear already, so I've just gone to AliExpress and I've set myself a budget of 70 quid to get everything I need, which hopefully I have got. And then at the end of this video I'll tell you how you can enter the competition to win all this tackle. Right, let's have a look at what I've bought myself. Right, I won't spend ages going through what I've bought, I'll just quickly run through it. The first thing I've got is a little travel rod. Okay, it's King's Return from Fisker. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 piece rod. So we'll put that together later and show you what it looks like. But it's not a very stiff tip, but it's light enough to cast some lures around. It was advertised as a lure rod. I'll show you this next actually. It's a little bag, a little travel bag. This costs a couple of quid. I'll run through all the prices in a second. But it's got enough room for everything you're going to need. It's got some little pockets there that I put the rod in. You could potentially put your net in that one, or your bottle of water or something. At the front here, it's got some little pockets there to put some tools in. So I've got my forceps and some wire cutters. Very important pieces of tackle. Do not come pike fishing unless you've got some proper unhooking tools. It's got another little pocket at the front there. You put your keys, phone, wallet in, that sort of stuff. And it's got a bigger compartment that I've got the rest of the stuff in. So let's have a look. Oh, I've got a nice little jazzy purple reel. This actually doesn't feel too bad, to be fair. I've loaded that with some, I think it's 70 odd pound braid. No, 60 odd, 63 pound braid I think it is. I could have actually gone for a slightly cheaper braid, but I think when it comes to your braids, it's worth spending a bit of extra money on that, just for purely fish safety. But yeah, it actually feels pretty decent, that reel, for the amount I paid for it. Right, and then I've just got a little bag of other bits and bobs in. So we've got a load of wire traces. I think it came with a pack of 20 wire traces. Nice thick wire on there. Pair of scissors, obviously. Numerous different lures. In fact, I think I've got 3 or 4 lures. Yeah, that's more of a jelly. That's a weedless style lure. That would come very handy here. Oh, another weedless style. Different colour. One pink, one green. And a surface lure. These cost like 14, 15 quid in a local tackle shop. I think this is £2 or something like that. So I'll go through the prices in a second. And I haven't got a I haven't got an unhooking mat with a tape measure on, so I bought a little tape measure for like 20p. Ridiculous. And then 3 other things. So we've got the net, which I haven't actually worked out how to use yet. There we go, pull that. And it extends as well, so I think it's 1.20 m in length. But folds up nice and easily for travelling around in. And then I've got an hooking mat with some scales as well. I actually deal with most of the fish in the water here, but you guys might not. So yeah, unhooking that, pair of scales if you want to weigh the fish as well as measure it. So let's quickly run through the prices of all those bits and bobs. So quick look at the prices, starting with the bag itself was £9.59 including postage. This beautiful fluorescent purple reel was £7.20 with postage. The unhooking tools, so we've got the long nose pliers. They were fairly expensive actually, £5.44, but I think actually is a really nice bit of kit. They're strong, they're sturdy, they've got a nice handle to them. I was actually tempted to buy a pair of these for myself because yeah, they're actually a really nice pair of forceps. Make sure you use those. And if we try and quickly find the wire cutters, there we go, £3.23 for a pair of wire cutters. Ideally you'd want a long pair of those as well. Right, next we've got this lure here, bring that a bit closer to you. That lovely, nice rattle in there, 2 trebles on there, and I guess this little fan here, oh it spins, look, that's beautiful. I guess that's going to cause loads of attraction actually, water disturbance, noise, vibration, that's really cool. That is £2.33. I reckon that could be quite good actually. Looking at the other lures, we've got some soft tail 15-gram jig heads. So we've got 2 of those, weedless style. Again, I actually think in the weedy swims here, they're going to be really good. Probably jinxing myself a bit here. But there we go. Then we've got a top water lure, almost exactly the same as what Nate likes to use. Again, nice rattle, 2 treble hooks, £1.23. It's like 15 quid in the shops. Crazy. What else have we got? Wire traces, £1.51 for 20 wire traces. So we've got swivels at one end to going onto your main line, your braided main line, and then little clips. You going to show that up? There we go, little clips on the other end to attach your lure to. £1.51 for those. Now the unhooking mat, which came with the pair of scales, was £9.52. £9.72 actually, sorry. The rod itself, where have I put the rod? There it is. A nice little carry bag. Oh, he's got that upside down. Oh, there's a hole in the bag already. Ah, that's a shame. Right, I'll try and sew or glue that up. There's a little hole at the bottom. But yeah, the rod was £9.35, so less than a tenner for the rod and 7 quid for the reel. Bargain. The tape measure, which I showed you earlier, that's actually more than I thought. Tape measure was £1.50. You might actually have to buy that cheaper, like in a little sewing shop, you know. Might be worth doing that. The scissors were £1.31. The braid, which is £61 braid, it's cheaper than I thought actually, it's £2.60. I think I nearly bought the £8 one, but actually went for this cheaper one. And it seems strong, it's £61, it seems really strong, robust, so I'm not worried about that at all. And the net is the only other thing. It's quite a nice little foldable net actually. Wish it was a little bit bigger, but yeah, that was £8.44. So in total we're looking at around 65 quid for all that stuff. So that's your rods, your reel, and hooking mat, net, lures, unhooking tools, all that for 65 quid. I think that's pretty good going. So it just goes to show you don't need to spend an absolute fortune on getting new gear. And if you already had a rod and reel you're happy to use, you could just change your mono or fluoro for braid, get some lures, get some unhooking tools, and you're looking at what, 20 quid max for all that. So there's no reason why you can't go out and try pike fishing for yourself without spending an absolute fortune. Right, enough waffle, let's get all this set up and let's get fishing. What I'm going to try and do is land a pike on each lure. So we've got four different lures. Let's see if we can catch a pike on each one. And then yeah, keep watching, I'll tell you how you can win this complete set at the end of the video. So I've tried to have this set up nicely balanced. So the rod itself is a 5 to 30 gram casting weight, which means any lure between 5 and 30 grams, it should be more than comfortable casting out. And I've paired that with a 3000 series reel. Okay, so it's not a massive reel, also not tiny. Got plenty of braid on there to cast out the distance you'll need to. Nice little addition to this rod. It has got a little eye just above the reel here, and that is not for putting your line through, that is just for attaching your hook to. If you put your hook on your eyes, it could risk damaging them. It's a nice way of keeping your lure out of the way as you're walking around. And if you're not sure how to actually set up your rod for lure fishing, couldn't be simpler. Just run your braid all the way through, attach the swivel of your wild trace to the braid, and then just clip on your lure at the bottom. Now I won't waffle on too much about shopping on AliExpress, but a couple of things to look out for. One is postage. So you might have 5 or 6 of the same items, and one of them or 2 of them are a lot cheaper, but you add it to your basket, and rather than being £5, suddenly it's £11 because you've got to pay £6 postage. So there might be the same item at £8 with free postage. So it's definitely worth adding a few of the same item into your basket and then just actually choosing which is the cheapest one with postage. And another cheeky thing I find the sellers do is they'll have a selection of, say, lures, and it might be like a nice top water lure that would usually cost £15 in the shop. Now they'll have a picture of that on the listing, and it will show like 2p. You click on it, and actually it's a tiny little rubbish metal lure that is worth about 2p, and then they'll have the proper lures priced at £2, £3, £4. So again, not mega money, but you're clicking on that because you think it's 1p. So just before you buy the thing, just properly check what price it's going to be before buying it, because there are cheeky little methods they use to get you to buy more basically, or pay more. Right, let's get fishing. Let's see if we can catch some pike on this new kit of mine. Right, about to start fishing. My approach for today is to be really mobile. It's one of the things I love about lure fishing for pike the most. You really need minimum tackle. I've just got that bag I showed you, the net, the unhooker mat, and the rod. So yeah, it means I can spend 10-15 minutes on the swim. If nothing happens, it's really easy to move around and try and locate the fish. Let's see what we can catch. So I'm starting off with this lure here. I just love this little fan bit. I reckon that's going to make a real difference. Let's see. So this first lure I've got on is a floating lure, which is really nice when you want to fish slowly, because you can just do a few rotations of the reel, pause the lure, and quite often you'll find a pike will hit your lure on that pause. But yeah, I can see quite a bit of commotion behind the lure there, so that spinner is definitely doing its job. I'm not getting great distance, but it is quite a light lure. But yeah, if you are new to pike fishing, one tip for you is just keep adjusting the way you're retrieving. So you can do some fast ones, slow ones, jerky ones. Just keep messing around with it until you find something that works on the day. So I'm just going to do more of a steady retrieve this time. Let's try around this edge. Right, enough from this first spot, let's move further up the bank. Right, just into my second swim now, into a swim we call No Pike Bay, because despite it looking absolutely awesome to catch a pike from, I've got weeds and reeds to the right, I've got trees to the left, nice bit of open water as well. We never seem to catch a pike from it, but it doesn't stop me from trying. It just screams pike, so I'm gonna give it a go. I'll keep on that same lure, but I might try one with the jellies after. So I'll try this right hand side to start with. So it absolutely just screams pike here, but I've had one take a dead bait before on the left hand side there, and that came off as well. So yeah, I've never landed a pike from this swim before, but now would be a good time to get one, wouldn't it? So I'm just doing a full turn of the reel, pausing, repeat. And yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get massive range of cast on this rod, but if you're fishing rivers, canals, I'm sure you'll be able to cast exactly where you want to cast to. Let's try on this left hand side. And obviously I'll try not to lose any lures today by casting into trees. Can't guarantee that, I'm afraid. It is casting nice and accurately though. Now with this lure, the longer you retrieve it for, the more it starts to dive down. Not very far, just a few inches under, but if you're looking to fish it more right on the surface, then definitely have some pauses in there. If you do want it to go under slightly, more of a steady retrieve is required. Right, I'll have one more cast for this one, and then we'll put a jelly on. Right, let's swap back to a jelly. So this is weedless, so I can let it drop. And it should just bounce over any debris, pull through weed. Well, that's moving really nicely through the water, that is. Right, so the way these weedless spoons work is you've got a jig head at the front there. This has actually got some eyes on it, so kind of integrated into the lure itself. And you've got this hook that bends down through the bottom, up through the top. And there's a little groove that runs at the top of the lure there, and the hook just sits there. So the point of the hook is not exposed, so if it comes into contact with weed or any sorts of snags, it's not going to catch, it's just going to run over the top, like so. But if a fish comes and grabs that, it's going to push that part down, which then exposes the hook for it to catch in the mouth. Okay, so every cast it's worth checking, just make sure that hook is in a position like that, because sometimes it will catch stuff and it will pop out. So yeah, each cast, just have a little check, make sure it's sitting like so. The next couple of hours was a cycle of walk, enter a new swim, cast 1 trillion times, leave the swim and walk again. All of this with not so much as a single follow. Right guys, this has proven to be a really tricky session. I've had a single take, a single follow, obviously no pike, spook out the margins like you do sometimes. It's been really hard. I think even with my normal tackle, I don't think I would have had any luck either, to be honest. The only thing that's slightly hindering me is I'm not able to cast as far out as I normally can. I think that's partly because I've got thick braid and also the rod hasn't got that bit of oomph to it to really launch a lure out there. But I wanted to get really thick braid because if you happen to snag up, you want to try and bend the hooks out rather than snap your line. So yeah, nice strong braid is more important than being able to cast that a little bit further, in my opinion. So I've now walked all the way around to the other side of the reservoir. Sometimes I do find if there's nothing on one side, the fish are kind of held up on the opposite side. So I've fished all the bank to my right, and now I'm going to fish all the way down here as well, kind of back to the car. I've still got 3 hours left, 2.5 hours left, so still plenty of time to get a fish. I was feeling optimistic to start with and hoping to get a fish on each lure, so 4 fish on 4 different lures. But right now, the way it's going, I'll be chuffed just to catch 1 fish to show you before I have to go home. So yeah, I'm going to start in this swim here, show you behind me. So I can only really fish the surface lures on this swim, although it looks quite clear out there. You go half a foot down and suddenly you're just getting clogged up in weed. So even though my weedless lures are weedless, it won't get stuck around the hook, it will still get stuck around the jig head. And you're just reeling in weed, you're not fishing effectively. So yeah, I'm going to fish this swim for a little bit and work my way down. Right, so I've just changed over to the top water lure. So 2 trebles on that. Nice rattle in there as well, you can see that ball moving. And the idea of this, it will sit on the surface and just jiggle left and right. Let's give that a go. Right, I've only got about an hour left of the session now. And yeah, not so much of a sniff of a bite. It's been really frustrating. I've nearly made my way around the whole reservoir now. I've decided to fish the last hour or so on the back of the wind, so it's much more sheltered here. And the wind's been pushing this way for a few days, so I'm wondering if a lot of the bait fish are holding up on the back of the wind in the slightly warmer water. And if so, hopefully there's some pike there as well, obviously eating up all those little roach and rugs. So yeah, I'm going to fish the swim in now, which I'll show you. You can see it's a lot calmer. And there's another swim slightly further up as well. That usually does a fish or 2, so I'm still hopeful. But yeah, time is starting to run out to get a fish with this AliExpress gear. Regardless of what happens though, I'll give this away. You might not want it, I've not caught anything on it, but like I said, I don't think it's anything to do with the actual tackle. I think it's just the day. It happens sometimes. It's fishing, we don't always catch. Although you've got a good chance of catching some at least little jacks from this reservoir, it doesn't always happen. But I'm going to get my best shot. Got an hour left. Let's try and get a fish from the bank so I can show you the tape measure, then hooking mat, then hooking tools, all those bits and bobs. Let's give it a go. Shows how weedy this place is. Even though I'm fishing the surface lure, still picking up bits of weed. So with this lure, I'm literally doing a third of a turn of the reel and then pausing. And what that does, it just makes your lure just go darts to the left, darts to the right, darts to the left, darts to the right. It's a very slow way of retrieving as well. So it keeps your lure in the water a long, long time. And it just mimics a distressed fish on top of the water. So it looks weak, it looks vulnerable. Yeah, hopefully it entices a pike to go for it. Hasn't worked today, but we do use these type of lures usually anyway. Just much more expensive ones, but they work exactly the same way. And yeah, Nate in particular has had a lot of his fish on that lure. And I'm in very shallow water. It probably only goes to about 4 foot out there. And so the pike, even if they're not towards the surface, they haven't got far to come to go and grab that lure, or at least investigate it. Yeah, that lure's just zigzagging back towards me. But yeah, very, very, very tough going today. And I haven't really seen any bait fish moving at all. Like I said earlier, if you find the bait fish, you can usually find some pike. Could just be one of those days where despite trying really hard, we get nothing. Right, let's go try for the last spot of the day. Right, obviously I was hoping to show you a fish for this demonstration, but I haven't caught anything. The idea of the tape measure was you put your fish on your hooking mat and you just use the tape measure to measure how long it is, because some people prefer measuring their fish rather than weighing them when they catch and perch and pike. Now you can get mats that have this kind of built in, it's got all your measurements along there. This is just a slightly cheaper way of doing it, just save you a few pennies. What you could also do is just get a marker pen and just use the tape measure to measure out the distances along there. So yeah, that was the idea behind using the tape measure with the mat. Right, so unfortunately it is now the end of the session. I've run out of time and I've caught nothing. I really tried hard though. I walked the whole way around the reservoir. I tried pretty much every single swim, different lures, on the back of the wind, in the teeth of the wind, in the middle, tried different depths. I have tried it all this afternoon and yeah, unfortunately no luck. But that is the way fishing goes sometimes. I'd love to blame it on the cheap tackle, but I think even if I had my normal tackle, I don't think the outcome would have changed anyway. The only thing I will say is the AliExpress rod is quite flimsy, hasn't got much punch to it. So perhaps if I used my own rod, I could have cast out a little bit further and maybe the fish are just slightly further away from the bank than normal. But yeah, we'll never know. But I do think if I did manage to catch a fish, that rod would have played the fish really nicely. It's very light. I think I've had a good bit of fun on there. The lures seem to move in the water exactly the same as the more expensive lures, so I can't really blame them either. I think they're nice little lures actually. I can't fault the reel at all. It seemed nice and sturdy. It allowed me to retrieve slowly, retrieve quicker. The line lay seemed pretty good off it as well, so no complaints there at all. For £7, I think that's a bit of a bargain. It might not be your choice of colour, a bright shiny purple, but you know, sometimes beggars can't be choosers. And it's a nice cheap reel that does the job. So the lures seem to move through the water just like the more expensive ones, so no complaints there. The net folds, unfolds really nicely, it's nice and light to carry around. It is actually a rubber net, which means it dries off really quickly, and also if you do get your hooks tangled on it, which can happen especially when you're pike fishing and you're landing those pike in the net, the hooks come out much easier than they do in a mesh net, which can make a right mess of things sometimes, especially if the pike decides to roll in the net. Scissors are nice and sharp, they've cut the braids really nicely, nice clean cut on there. Obviously the hooking tools I didn't get to use, but they seem solid and I'm sure they'll do the job just fine. And that little bag is really nice as well. Just enough room to carry the essentials. It also means you leave some items at home which you probably won't use anyway, so it just makes the whole approach nice and mobile. I will say though, if you are planning to fish big expanses of water like this reservoir, probably don't use that rod. I think that rod is more suitable for canals, rivers, small stretches of water like that. Now, as I said at the start, all of that tackle I'm going to give away to one lucky winner. Now, the idea was to catch a few fish and then to enter the competition, do something like what was the longest or the biggest fish I caught. Obviously, I can't do that because there's no fish to measure or weigh. So what I'm going to do instead is to enter this competition, all you've got to do is subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also in the comments below, just right, make me a winner. I'm currently on just under 450 subscribers, so as soon as I hit 500 subscribers, I will choose one lucky winner at random and try and contact you as best I can. If you are new to the channel, it really helps me out if you subscribe to the channel, if you like the videos and press the bell notification as well. It really helps the channel grow, which means I can do more videos, more giveaways, and try and give you guys as much content as possible. But for this session, that is it. So time to end the video. Thank you very much for watching. Your support is really appreciated. Good luck to everyone who enters. I hope you're lucky. And yeah, I will choose one lucky winner as soon as 500 subscribers is hit. Don't forget to write in the comments below, make me a winner, and subscribe to enter this competition. Until next time, be lucky, and hopefully I'll catch you guys again soon.